it is now by law that they have to cite why they're redacting the information that they are.
I like that.
And
I
so
like that a lot.
absolutely, because it makes it easier to kind of decipher what exactly are they saying here. So B6 is that privacy information. If it was a telephone number, a bank account number,
how many
Social
are
Security
there?
number,
Do you know?
there's
John?
9.
Like, got it.
There's B1 through B9. What you see the most of is B6. That's again the privacy information, so names and all that. B1 is another one that you see a lot, especially with what I do, because I go after the secrets of secrets. So it's all classified information. So B1 is classified. B5, what we see here, is essentially what they call internal deliberation. Now, internal deliberation is kind of like if you and I, we worked for the government. Ooh, that's going to be a conspiracy theory that starts. So you and I are working for the government, and you and I are deciding about what we're going to say in a statement for the general public. Our banter back and forth about the creation of that statement would be exempted under B5 because we're internally deliberating, and the U.S. government believes they should have some privacy during that process.
I love.
Then the
So
final statement is released.
They privatize, or they make it private, all the spitballing that they're doing back there.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're spitballing. Okay, let's.
Right.
This is not for the public.
And that's what they want to kind of shield with those types of redactions. B5 is also known as the redacted if you want to exemption. And what I mean by that is if the government wants to redact something, B5 is a very easy fallback because it's very hard to fight for people like me. So when you see a B5, it's like, well, how do you argue that it's not internal deliberation? They use B5 for draft documents. It's very hard. So that's the government knows that. And so that's why in the FOIA world, for people like me, we call it that redacted if you want to. It needs reform desperately. It needs to be revamped because it's too easy for the government to hide behind it. So in relation to this document, they fell on B5 on the line that says Elizondo was passing on the ATIP responsibilities to Neil Tipton. And what's strange about that is why are they going to do that? Why are they redacting something that's already in the public domain? And I want to stress that again. We've already seen this document to those who pay attention. New York Post published it when they published Luis Elizondo's IG complaint to the DOD. This was one of the pieces of evidence that Luis Elizondo submitted. So it's been in the public realm already. So that doesn't by law just say, oh, well, we can't redact it. But why use a B5? And that's what's very kind of confusing. It's like they're trying to cover up this line and admit that there's this ATIP reference in the Neil Tipton email. So that was the release. There was a couple other emails in there.
I do want to go to those next emails, but I have a couple of questions on this real quick. So like, if I read this carefully, right, exactly what they redacted are the words helps you better assume the new responsibilities for ATIP, right? Because they could have started redacting at better assume the new responsibilities of ATIP, right? Like just that, or just ATIP. Why helps you better assume the new responsibilities for ATIP? Is there, when I read this, and again, granted, this is from Lou, but it's saying ATIP, I'm assuming ATIP is a real program by reading this, and that it had older responsibilities and it's got new responsibility, right? Meaning there's a lot to read into that. When you see that, right, there's a lot to like tangentially becomes truth now from reading this. You think that's a reason it got redacted because they're trying to paint this picture that ATIP was never a real program, or I don't know.
Well, that's the question. Is that what they're doing?
That's the big question, right? Yeah.
Even though I do respectfully disagree with a lot of how Luis Elizondo framed it in the tweet that you read, and I'm happy to explain why. I mean, I know a lot of people think it's nitpicking, but I respectfully disagree with some of what he said. But he did hit it when he said that they can't redact something if it embarrasses the agency. That is in language that they have to follow, that they can't just redact it because they feel it's going to embarrass the agency that's doing the redactions, in this case, the DOD. So is that a possibility? Absolutely. And then it's up to me to prove that in a appeal. Now, I didn't try and fight that because there's absolutely no way that I can prove that they're hiding it because of embarrassment. So I really hit the public interest angle, which it is. It's of high public interest, obviously covered by the media quite a bit. And essentially, when it comes to B5, the way you fight it, for anybody who cares, is you try and outweigh public interest versus their desire for essentially secrecy, and how public interest should outweigh and trump all of that, because we're not dealing with a classified issue. If we were dealing with a classified issue, my argument would be different. But since we're clearly dealing with unclassified information, stuff that's been in the public realm, then, let's see it.
What's the point? Yeah.
Right. Totally. What's the point of redacting? Now, some people may ask, well, why the hell do you, fight for that? Because who cares? You already know what it says. The reason is that page number 2. And that page number 2 that's entirely redacted is also cited with the same exemption. Now, why I point that out?
Let me bring this up.
If I can win the one, I can win the other, and that means that they'll re-review it under their new eyes, because the appellate authority will hopefully review that in addition to the FOIA office as well. See that gray square? That's the document.
Wait, what? Are you serious?
Yeah. No, I'm being dead serious. Yeah. Go ahead and click on it.
What the?
Yeah.
What?
Now, look at the top left. It says B5 and B6.
Yeah.
So that is
what the hell?
Those are the cited redactions. So this is the memo that Luis Elizondo wrote. Now, I want to see this. So me fighting that other line, because we've seen that. I have not. Nobody has seen this that I'm aware of.
The memo, you're saying this whole memo. Got it. Wow.
Yeah. So if I can make the case to re-review the B5, I understand B6 will probably remain. So any names on this memo, any phone numbers, sure, totally get that. Those are redactions you see, and they're hard to fight. But no one really cares about the telephone numbers. But it's the B5, so they're trying to exempt the whole thing. So that's what I want to see, and that's why I filed. So where I again respectfully disagreed with Mr. Elizondo on this was he started citing the executive order. That's the EO 12958.
Oh God, I'm going to bring that up real quick.
Yeah. And again, I know that you'll get hate mail just because I'm saying this, because people are going to think it's nitpicking. But we have to, if we are fighting this legally, and I say we because we're all kind of in this fight together for transparency and stuff like that. Executive Order 12958 has been superseded actually a couple times already. What currently stands is Executive Order 13526. There's a reason why these things are rewritten, reissued, redone by the President of the United States. So 12958 was a very kind of, we'll call it outdated way to argue this. But the thing that stood out more to me was there's not 2 reasons to redact information. Sadly, it's not that easy. It's not just classified or it's personal privacy. That's not it. There's 9 exemptions. And what I'm fighting here has nothing to do with a classified exemption or a personal privacy exemption, but rather this, what they call internal deliberation. So is that nitpicking? I know people are going to say yes in some corners of this conversation, but it's very, very important that we realize the argument that the government is trying to put up to hide this from us. And if we inaccurately portray that, we're fighting a battle that doesn't have another side to win from, or to win.
That makes sense.
Because, and so that's why I again, respectfully disagreed. I asked people to tag Luis Elizondo because at that time of writing it, I was blocked. But I said, this is, again, essentially a respectful disagreement. But I felt compelled because he was citing my story with inaccurate arguments, inaccurate arguments attached. And so that's why I wrote that. And again, those posts aren't popular. I know that. But my story was being cited. And when my story is cited, I want to make sure that things that go along with it are accurate as well. And he unblocked me over it. So apparently he wasn't too ticked off.
See, you got unblocked.
Yeah. So we had a nice exchange. I did just an animated hat tip gift to him.
I saw that. That was great, by the way.
Yeah, one of my favorite actors. And he had a phenomenal return tweet of Val Kilmer in response, both of which were from Tombstone. Yeah.
See, I can't sit because I'm blocked. I don't get to see y'all's back and forth, which sucks. But okay, so that's what happened. y'all tipped your hats to each other,
and that's it. Yeah, and that's
what do you think?
Should be about.
What do you think? Do you think you guys are on good terms now, sort of, or at least neutral terms?
Well, I've never considered ourselves on bad terms. I was blocked. To be honest with you, I don't know what the
you don't know why you initially got blocked?
Well, look, I mean, a lot of people are going to say it's the obvious that you're picking on him and meaning me, and you're, harping on him. If that were the case, I think he would have blocked me a long time ago. So I'm not really sure. It was around the time I was working on a new story that he may not have liked. That's already long been published. So I don't really know. I've had, for the most part, pleasant exchanges with his attorney. So to go back to your question, I've always felt neutral, if not on good grounds. There was a long time where we had chats and talked on the phone, and there was no problem. But
you guys did an interview together.
We did a couple. Yeah.